Welcome, and thanks for joining us at WYCC.org for In the Loop, the after show. Our guests, actress and comedian Nora Dunn, Jaime Dominguez, political science professor at Northwestern University, and Kitty Kurth, president of Kurth Lampe, a public relations and consulting firm. In Springfield this week, a state senator is worried about drones. He's introduced legislation that would require police to get warrants before they can use drone cameras. And Nora, I'm wondering, you worried about your privacy with drones up in the air with cameras? I guess that's the next thing that's coming.
It creeps me out to have an unmanned spaceship flying around, you know, and you were mentioning earlier that they were up there, you know, maybe they were using drones to study the migrations of geese. They're probably spying on them. You know, it's like, I don't think they should be floating around.
Jaime, is this a legitimate privacy concern here?
Absolutely. I mean, they disguise it under the term surveillance. You know, surveillance always is, there's something wrong happening on the other end, but that's not always the case. And the problem is that there's no transparency here. We don't know exactly what and they're being used for, and what, you know, what they're actually capturing. You know, we don't know. So yes, from a privacy as a private citizen, I'm very concerned about it.
Now, of course, the police chiefs are lobbying in favor of this. They would love to be able to use drones up there for law enforcement purposes.
You know, and if they can have them, then who else gets them and what else happens? I mean, I was even creeped out the first time I saw the aerial view of my house on Google.
Google
Maps, on Google Earth.
Right,
you know, I feel like we don't know who's watching us when.
On the other hand, now, especially in the city of Chicago, I mean, there are, you know, well over 1,000 cameras. They're on subway stations. They're in, you know, red lights. I mean, do we have this expectation of privacy anymore? Or is it
with all those cameras, and before we put in the drones, I'd like to see more study of how have they worked. Have the cameras prevented crime? Have they captured crime so that we've been able to convict criminals? What's happening with those cameras? Before we put up more, let's look at what we've already got.
Jaime, do we have any expectation anymore that once we leave our homes, we have any privacy with all the cameras that Kitty's just talking about?
Well, just careful what you say, I guess, right? You're, you're always on. But it's true. I mean, everywhere you go now, there's a camera everywhere. So I'm always kind of looking over my shoulders, too, just to make sure.
I live right downtown, so I just assume the second I walk out my door, I'm on camera. Not ready for my close-up, but I'm on camera.
And I'm a union member. I'm a Screen Actors Guild member.
I think
we should all get compensated and, you know, get some residuals for every appearance that we make on the street.
That's right. That's right.
But these things seem to be a fact of life, and I guess with most of these privacy questions, there's going to be some kind of a balancing act between the rights of citizens to have privacy and the rights of other citizens to be protected from bad guys.
Absolutely, but when you bring in law enforcement, for example, we've seen just even here in Chicago, the scandal, right, even within law enforcement,
the red light scandal
of just rogue policemen, and the extent, you know, and to say that we're doing this under the auspice of, you know, public safety, you know, I could see how individuals can be very concerned, including myself.
We can't dial up a drone. I can 911 if I think that there's something going wrong, or there's a robbery and the police arrive. What's a drone do? They send those up when they want to. You know, Los Angeles, one of the things I don't like about it is there's helicopters in the air at all times. You always feel you're in a war zone. And sometimes it's for a traffic stop. It costs $55,000 to put one of those things up. Who's going to pay for these drones? We can't afford more police officers, but we're going to have drones coming through, and who's operating them? Is it the children with their remote control airplanes? Is that going to interfere with the drones?
Are we taking a police officer off the street to be operating the drone instead of walking a beat?
That's right.
There was just a case in the last week where actually a pilot of a plane coming in to make a landing at JFK reported that he had seen a drone and didn't know quite what to do.
And then the report I heard said that the police didn't know what it was, and they put out a press release saying, hey, if anybody knows what this drone is, can they let us know? There's something wrong with that.
Do you think that this is a frivolous question, or do you think it's actually something that should be addressed? Is it smart to look at it right now?
I think we should look at it right now.
Definitely. It's, you know, again, balancing the need for, if this is how, for example, the state wants to define it in terms of a public safety matter versus privacy matter, and saying that the public safety outweighs individuals' rights to privacy, then absolutely that's something that needs to be discussed in a public forum.
So I guess we all have to keep our eye in the sky.
Yeah, watch out.
Thank you so much for joining us, Nora Dunn, Jaime Dominguez, and Kitty Kurth. We'll see you next week. Good night.